Entonces, el régimen de Donald Trump acaba de socavar un precedente en la Corte Suprema, el mismo que los llamados movimientos conservadores han impulsado por mucho tiempo, y que lograron una victoria en el 2018 y otra victoria en el 2023. Todo esto al permitir que las empresas privadas, si ellos gustan, pueden negar el servicio a personas homosexuales, todo esto basándose en su religión. En el caso de los fallos a la Corte Suprema que me refiero, se trataba de una empresa que toma fotografías que se niega rotundamente a tomarle fotografías a personas homosexuales en su boda. O mejor dicho, que se niega completamente a tener servicios, o sea fotos, con personas o parejas homosexuales. En el 2018 un caso parecido entró y era referente a los pasteles de boda y la negativa a servirlos. O más bien permitir que los propietarios de estos negocios, si ellos gustan, puedan negarles a hacer pasteles de boda a personas homosexuales, porque evidentemente esto está en contra de su religión, lo cual me parece tonto, pero se lo legalizaron, se lo aceptó la Suprema Corte. En el 2018 técnicamente se dictaminó que el Estado no aplicó una nueva apertura de neutralidad y eso acercó el precedente a permitir una discriminación plena, lo cual finalmente se confirmó en el caso del 2023 llamado 303 Creative LLC contra Lenny's. Pero entonces apareció Pam Bondi, la fiscal general de Donald Trump, que apareció en televisión y dijo que enviaría a la División de Derechos Civiles del Departamento de Justicia para atacar a cualquier empresa que dijera que no quiere imprimir volantes o fotografías que celebren a Charlie Kirk o que incluyan frases de Charlie Kirk. Y algunas empresas no quieren hacerlo, muchas imprentas no quieren hacerlo. Así que ellos dicen, bueno, somos una empresa privada, así que tenemos derecho a no hacerlo. Y sabes, si el Estado permitió que empresas de boda, bueno, empresas de pasteles de boda, no le hagan pasteles de boda homosexuales, que empresas de fotografía no le hagan fotos de boda homosexuales por su religión, uno pensaría que evidentemente van a permitir que las empresas privadas, imprentas o empresas que se dediquen a imprimir cosas, no quieran imprimir cosas de Charlie Kirk por sus creencias políticas o religiosas, que también Charlie Kirk atacó la religión. Uno pensaría que debería de permitirse, ¿verdad? Escucha lo que tiene que decir Pam Bondi al respecto y vamos a hablar sobre esto después. Mira, por favor.
That's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that.
Entonces, el gobierno estaría forzando a las empresas privadas a emitir discursos, lo cual la Corte Suprema también dijo que está protegido por la primera enmienda, ¿verdad? Con todos esos casos electorales. Pero el gobierno te obligará. Si no estás publicando documentos o fotos que sean pro Charlie Kirk, nuestra División de Derechos Civiles irá detrás de ti. Pero las empresas, siéntese libre de citar la religión como la razón para no imprimir volantes a parejas homosexuales, personas trans o personas negras, ¿correcto? A continuación quiero que veas la entrevista realizada al abogado Harry Littman, quien habla de forma muy, pero muy acertada sobre todas las cosas que están pasando actualmente dentro de Estados Unidos. A raíz de lo que está ocurriendo con Charlie Kirk y los fallos cometidos por parte de la Suprema Corte de Justicia. Miren el clip, por favor.
It's pretty ridiculous and undemocratic, doesn't it? Well, guess what? It's even worse, way worse, Ben. Forget 303, try 1943, the time of the landmark opinion by Justice Jackson in West Virginia versus Barnett. Maybe one of the 10 most important quotes in our whole constitutional jurisprudence. Let me just quote you the money sentence. If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, and seems to me Bondi is both, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. The thing that makes this way crazier than the 303, those two cases, the bake shop, in those cases, municipalities passed laws and they said you may not discriminate, but they were trying to regulate private persons. This is government, an official, high and petty, saying, here's what you have to say. Government itself, it says the most flagrant sort of textbook pre-first year violation of First Amendment law you can imagine. And I am really sorry to say, but our Attorney General is a moron for not being at all aware of this. She also said, at the same time, we're coming after people for hate speech. We can do that. Then someone said, Madam AG, you can't do that unless there's threats of violence. And then she quickly tried to repair things. These are such essential, bedrock, first year constitutional law elements that go right to different kinds of prosecutions, that she is so flagrantly unaware of them is just a stunner. Just like, you better go somewhere else and get ready for law school before you even try to come to law school. So she just doesn't understand. And I want to say, it's not like, oh, she doesn't understand this basic principle. She not only doesn't understand it, she's trying to violate it. So here she is out there saying, and elsewhere she said, it's those vile leftists who are doing it. She is out there exactly doing what Justice Jackson says is so fundamental, the government can't do, saying you've got to put up these flyers for Charlie Kirk. You must. We are prescribing what is orthodox, exactly that. Number one, so plainly know that you don't. And by the way, as a prosecutor, which she ought to be thinking about, she ought to stay the hell out of, as should Trump, as should everyone, the notions of who is he left wing, is he right? She ought to make a case, because she is hurting her case when she comes out and says these things. There's going to be a trial, and there's going to be the basis for certain kinds of motions to say that they used inappropriate considerations or matters. It can only hurt her case, and that should be no part of what she's doing. Not only is she doing it, but she's doing it in her patented Bondi, just tell me what I can do, Maximal Leader Trump, and literally jumping in to attack the left wing, whatever the hell that means. But you've taught con law, I've taught con law. I'm just going to say it again. It's a one sentence long that most any law student can memorize. If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. She might as well say every block has to put up an I love Trump poster. She is just you would say a lawless kind of wicked actor, but she seems like, first and foremost, I'm sorry, an ignoramus. It's so very, very basic. She is so, over her head, and that an attorney general of the United States says this kind of thing is just completely unnerving and repugnant.
This clip.
Did I make clear what I think about this?
I think you did. Let Ben play this, just so people know. There's another Ben who's the editor. I don't talk to myself. And hey, Ben, play the clip. We have an editor named Ben. Ben, play the clip of Pam Bondi saying that it's the radical leftists, even though we have all of the messages. There's nothing to suggest that at all. But it's the radical leftists who killed Charlie Kirk. Here, play this clip.
Yes, who killed Charlie? Left-wing radicals, and they will be held accountable. So will anyone in this country who commits a violent crime against anyone. And the death penalty.
Now, here's the thing, too, and she connected the two concepts. Now, I personally don't believe in the death penalty. Others may agree or disagree with that, but my own moral compass, the way it's been incorrectly used in other cases, even though perhaps there are very egregious cases where it makes sense. To me, the flaw rate, when I've studied it, in my own opinion, I don't support it. But that said, assuming you did support it and you thought you needed to use the death penalty in a case like this, okay? Her saying radical leftist and connecting that to the death penalty, it's going to, if you wanted the death penalty in a case, if you were Tyler Robinson's lawyer, you would be able to pretty much, I think, prevail in stopping the death penalty by arguing it's not based on the underlying facts, it's based on a political animus. And this is one of the examples where you can't use the death penalty now, because look what the DOJ is saying now. As far as we know, Tyler has basically confessed. There's lots of messages, and there's a lot on this guy. But if there wasn't, and he took the right to remain silent and kept it, which he didn't, as far as we know at this point, it seems that he basically admitted to everything. They would have a lot of problems in this case based on what they said. All of these statements would come out in a trial. You would say, wait a minute, are you saying it was my client or the radical leftists? Or, so look, the fact that he confessed and the fact that they found the killer, the fact that we know who it is, that's a good thing. Like that the conduct is reprehensible here. What took place is utterly reprehensible. We condemn in the strongest possible terms the violence. Had they handled it this way and someone objected or someone put on a defense, Harry, all those words would have come back to backfire.
100%, and they still may. It's like breathtaking incompetence. We now have the top two officials in the Department of Justice, Ben. We had Todd Blanche's little junket to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell and what she's calling a quid pro quo, except only for Trump's personal race. So flagrantly improper. Now we have the highest person. If there were anyone higher in the Department of Justice and the Department of Justice were functioning normally, that higher person would call Bondi on the carpet and say, what the F are you doing? You want to lose this case for us? This is it. So it's tawdry and wrong for, in the political sphere where I'm, that's for politicians to argue about. And I couldn't agree with you more on the basic fact, and law enforcement, it's just terrible, completely to be condemned, absolutely a heinous offense. But man, if a line prosecutor, a paralegal said anything like this, knowing that it could be used and turned around to try to challenge the death penalty or to try to challenge intent or to try to put the government on trial in a case where, as you say, they don't have that much to go on, she would be off the team in a heartbeat because she would have demonstrated, as she has, her incompetence. So that double dose here, Ben, of just nasty, inappropriate politics for a cabinet officer and attorney general sworn to uphold the Constitution, and the complete fecklessness and lack of any sophistication for the case itself, which is what matters. It's breathtaking. And if I had another, well, I've said my piece about Bondi, but just from start to finish, this also strikes me about Trump. She never fails to do what seems to be the worst possible action. But man, oh man, as a prosecutor, she gets an F- here.
Y bueno amigos, ahí lo tienen. Espero que este video les haya gustado, de todo corazón se los digo. Si es así, les agradecería que me pongan sus comentarios haciéndomelo saber. Y como siempre les digo, si este tipo de videos les gusta saber de política estadounidense, les va a encantar suscribirse al canal, ya que subo videos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.